He loved his mother. He hated himself for the thought that followed. It slithered into his mind, unbidden, unwelcome, a desire to end her, to feel his hands around her frail neck, to squeeze, to silence her forever. The image, vivid and terrifying, left him trembling. Shame washed over him. How could he, her own flesh and blood, harbor such monstrous thoughts? He recoiled from the very idea, seeking solace in the familiar comfort of denial. It was just a thought, fleeting and meaningless. He couldn't ever act on it. But the thought lingered, a venomous seed planted in the fertile ground of his mind. It grew, twisting and contorting, fueled by an inner darkness he couldn't comprehend. His love for his mother warred with this monstrous desire, tearing him apart from the inside. He was a prisoner in his own mind, the bars forged from guilt and terror. Days blurred into nights. Sleep offered no escape, only a deeper descent into the abyss of his own mind. The thought, once a fleeting shadow, now loomed over him, a constant suffocating presence. It whispered to him in the dead of night, urged him to act, to give in to the darkness. He fought back, clinging desperately to the remnants of his sanity. He threw himself into his work, seeking refuge in the mundane, the routine, anything to silence the screaming in his head. Yet the relief was always temporary. The moment he allowed himself a moment of quiet, the thought returned, stronger, more insistent. Guilt gnawed at his insides. He was a monster, unworthy of the love she showered upon him. He couldn't bring himself to look her in the eye, couldn't bear the thought of his inner darkness staining the purity of her love. The fear of his own thoughts terrified him more than anything. He was a pressure cooker, the heat of his internal struggle building, threatening to shatter the fragile facade he presented to the world. One day he broke. The dam of his composure crumbled, and the torrent of his anguish poured out. He confessed to a therapist, his voice a choked whisper, each word a shard of glass tearing through his throat. He laid bare his soul, revealing the festering darkness that threatened to consume him. For a brief moment, a flicker of hope. The therapist listened, her eyes filled with not judgment but concern. She offered him a lifeline, a glimmer of understanding in the suffocating darkness. He clung to her words, desperate for salvation. Maybe, just maybe, he could escape the clutches of his own mind. But the darkness was insidious, relentless. It whispered doubts, amplified his fears. It painted the therapist's efforts as futile, her words as empty platitudes. It chipped away at his resolve, reminding him of his inherent wickedness. The guilt returned, heavier than before. He was unworthy of help, undeserving of redemption. He was broken, a danger to himself and everyone around him. The thought that had haunted him for so long now offered a perverse form of solace, an escape from the torment. His death, he reasoned, would be his atonement, the only way to protect his mother from the monster he believed himself to be. He penned a note, his hand shaking, tears blurring the ink. He apologized for his failings, for the darkness he couldn't escape. He professed his love for his mother, a love tainted by the knowledge of the horror he had harbored. Then, with a heart filled with a terrible, agonizing love, he pulled the trigger. The silence that followed was deafening. His mother found him later that day, the note clutched in his lifeless hand. Her screams, raw and primal, echoed through the empty house, a testament to the devastating ripple effect of a pain that had always been hidden, festering beneath the surface. His final act, intended to protect, had instead unleashed a wave of grief that would forever darken the lives of those he loved most. The monster, in the end, had claimed him, leaving behind only shattered hearts and unanswered questions.